All right, so let's jump into personal finance today. We're going deep on monthly budgeting. I gotta say, it's not exactly the most thrilling thing to talk about,
Yeah, it's true. Budgeting, it's a bad rap.
but I think we can make it interesting.
Oh, definitely. I think, especially right now with the economy being a little shaky,
Yeah.
having a clear plan for your money can really give you a sense of control, like a roadmap for your finances.
Makes sense. But I mean, shouldn't we already kind of have a good grasp of where our finances stand?
You'd think, right? But the average household spent over $72,000 last year.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. And it makes you wonder, where'd all that money go? That's where the budget comes in, to uncover that.
Okay, so where do we start? What's step one in this whole financial roadmap thing?
You got to know your starting point, figure out your net income, what you actually take home after
Mhm.
taxes and everything.
Right, the actual money you have.
Exactly.
Okay, what's next?
Track your spending, every penny. I know it sounds tedious, but you got to do it for a couple of months just to see where your money is going.
Yeah, I can see that being a little eye-opening.
Oh, yeah. But there are apps that can help with that, like Mint or Every Dollar. They link right to your accounts.
Oh, nice. It's
Mm,
less tedious than I thought.
yeah. And they categorize everything, which is really helpful.
Okay, cool. So once we've done that, what comes next?
This is where it gets kind of fun. Figuring out your financial priorities. What do you really want to achieve?
Like a house or early retirement?
Yeah, exactly. Pay off debt, travel, whatever's important to you. That's how your budget gets personal.
It's not just about cutting back then. It's about, like, making your money work for your goals.
Exactly. And then you actually design the budget. A good framework to start with is the 50-30-20 rule.
Okay, what's that?
50% for needs, 30% for wants, 20% for savings.
So break that down. What falls under needs?
Things you can't live without. Housing, groceries, transportation, utilities, that kind of stuff.
Okay, and wants?
The fun stuff. Going out, entertainment, hobbies, that new gadget you've been wanting.
And savings. Well, saving. But is that 50-30-20 split? Is that, like, set in stone?
More of a guideline, really, a starting point. You can adjust those percentages depending on your goals and what's going on.
So it's flexible.
Yeah. The key is finding what works for you to reach your goals.
Okay, so what's the final step once we've got our budget laid out?
You got to track your spending and make adjustments as you go because life happens, right? Your income might change, unexpected expenses come up.
Right.
So it's not just a one-time thing. It's like an ongoing conversation with your finances. Always check in, see how it's going.
I like that. Makes it less intimidating and more like something you can actually manage.
Exactly. A budget shouldn't feel restrictive. It's about giving you control.
So you're making your money work for you instead of the other way around.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's say someone's got a net income of $4,000 a month. How would that look using this 50-30-20 rule?
Okay, so with that 20% for savings, they could be putting aside about $700 a month for an emergency fund, vacation, retirement.
Okay, that's not bad. What about needs?
For needs, we'd be looking at around $2,200. Things like rent or mortgage payments, transportation costs, groceries, those essential bills.
And the fun stuff, the wants.
For wants, about $1,100. So
Hmm.
you have some room for, going out to dinner, entertainment, hobbies.
Okay, so that adds up to our $4,000 total. This is just an example, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone's different. It's about using this as a starting point and adjusting it to fit your own life.
Right. Everyone's financial situation is unique. Okay, but before we move on, Warren Buffett famously said, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. How does that fit into creating a successful budget?
That's all about mindset, You're not just saving whatever's left over, you're making it a priority from the start.
Okay, so you decide how much you want to save, put that aside, and then build your spending plan around that. It's kind of concerning that less than half of U.S. adults have enough savings to cover even 3 months of expenses.
Yeah, it is a bit alarming. That's why we're talking about this, right?
Mm.
Budgeting isn't about deprivation. It's about taking control.
And having peace of mind.
Really,
Right.
exactly. Knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you.
Okay, so we've covered what a monthly budget is, why it's important, and the steps to actually create one. And we even broke down a hypothetical budget based on a $4,000 income.
And let's not forget that key takeaway from Warren Buffett. Prioritizing saving. Make it a must-have, not an afterthought.
Right. It's all about making those conscious choices with your money. But stay tuned, because in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore some of those sneaky budgeting mistakes that we all tend to make. And we'll talk about strategies for staying on track with your financial goals.
We'll help you identify those hidden pitfalls and equip you to navigate them successfully.
So come back for more because our journey to financial freedom is just getting started.
It's going to be good. So welcome back to our budgeting deep dive. In part 1, we talked about how to create a monthly budget, like the basics. Now let's get into some of the common mistakes people make and how to, avoid them.
I'm sure I'm guilty of a few. What's the first one we should watch out for?
One big one is setting unrealistic expectations, like trying to change everything overnight, cutting back too much, or setting really ambitious savings goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That can lead to burnout, and then you just give up.
Right, like going from 0 to 60, just too much change too fast.
Exactly. It's better to start small, Make gradual changes and celebrate those small wins.
So slow and steady wins the race.
Right.
What other budgeting mistakes do we need to watch out for?
Inconsistent tracking is another one. It's easy to get off track, especially when life gets busy and you forget to log everything.
Oh yeah, that's me. Especially with those little purchases that add up.
Yeah, absolutely. But remember those budgeting apps we talked about? They can really help with that. They do the tracking for you, categorize everything, even send you alerts when you're getting close to your limit.
Right, like they're holding us accountable.
Exactly.
Okay, what else should we be aware of?
Irregular expenses. Those things that don't happen every month, but they can really mess up your budget when they do, like car repairs or annual subscriptions, holiday gifts, things like that.
Yeah, those are the worst. How do we deal with those without blowing the budget?
Just plan for them. Put aside a little each month for those unexpected things. So when the car needs to get fixed, you're ready.
Proactive planning, I like it. What other budgeting traps should we be aware of?
Forgetting to review and adjust your budget. Life changes. You might get a raise or your expenses might go up. You got to be flexible.
It's not just setting it and forgetting it.
Yeah, you should check in regularly, see how it's working, make adjustments as you go.
Makes sense. It's not set in stone.
Exactly. Your budget should change with you.
All right, we've covered some mistakes. Now let's talk about strategies for staying on track. What are your top tips?
Automate your savings. Have money automatically transferred from checking to savings each month, like paying yourself first.
That's a good idea.
It takes the effort out of it.
What other strategies are there?
Use cash. I know it sounds old school, but if you're trying to get cut back in certain areas, using cash can really help.
How so?
It's psychological. When you hand over actual money, it makes you think twice. It's harder to overspend when you're just swiping a card.
Yeah, there's something about seeing those bills go that makes a difference. Okay, anything else?
Don't be afraid to negotiate. Your internet bill, your cell phone plan, you could be saving money.
Okay, like haggle with them. I've never done that before.
The worst they can say is no. You might be surprised how often it works.
Okay, I'll try it. Any other tips?
Shop around. Compare prices for groceries, insurance, you name it. A little research can save you a lot.
Being a smart shopper, basically.
Right. What else? Set clear financial goals. What are you working towards? That can really motivate you to stick to your budget.
Having that bigger picture in mind.
Exactly. And, if you're really struggling, don't be afraid to seek professional help. There are financial advisors who can guide you.
Yeah, sometimes we need an expert to help us navigate all this. Okay, so we've covered those mistakes we make, some strategies to stay on track, and how to stay focused on our goals.
Remember, budgeting is a journey. It's not like a one-time thing. You make choices, you track your spending, and adjust as you go.
So it's about taking control and making your money work for you.
Exactly. And in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to get into investing. We'll talk about different options for growing your wealth, building a secure financial future.
So get ready to put those savings to work. Okay, so welcome back. We've covered budgeting, avoiding those common mistakes. Now, this is the part I'm really excited about.
Me too.
Investing. Feels like we're leveling up our financial game here.
Yeah, it is. It's about taking your savings and helping them grow over time. We've talked about managing money, spending wisely. Now it's time to make that money work for us.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
But honestly, investing can seem pretty overwhelming, right?
It can be, yeah.
Where do we even start?
Well, think about it this way. There are a few main asset classes: stocks, bonds, and real estate. Each one has its own, personality, different levels of risk.
Okay, let's break it down. Let's start with stocks. What are those exactly?
Think of stocks as owning a tiny piece of a company. When you buy stock, you're basically betting on that company's future. If they do well, the value of your stock goes up.
So you're like a mini partner in the business.
Exactly.
But I always hear about how the stock market can be volatile.
It can be, yeah. It goes up, it goes down. It's part of the game. You got to be prepared for that.
Okay, so bit of a gamble. What about bonds? Those seem less scary.
Bonds are more like lending money. You're loaning it to a company or the government, and they pay you interest.
Those more predictable.
Generally, yeah. They're considered lower risk than stocks.
But does that mean they also have less potential for growth?
Typically, yeah.
Got it. Less risk, less reward. What about real estate? Everyone talks about that as an investment.
Real estate is, well, it's tangible. You're investing in an actual property.
Yeah.
And you can get income from rent. Plus, property values tend to go up over time.
But isn't it a lot more work than stocks or bonds?
It can be, yeah. You need more money up front, and there's the whole managing thing. It's not passive.
Okay, so stocks, bonds, real estate. How do we actually invest in this stuff?
You'll need a brokerage account. That's your access point to the investment world. Then you can buy and sell individual stocks, bonds, or you can invest in mutual funds and ETFs.
Mutual funds, ETFs. What are those? They always confuse me.
Think of them as pre-packaged investment portfolios. Like a mutual fund takes money from multiple investors and they buy a bunch of different assets managed by a professional.
Okay.
ETFs are similar, but they're traded on the stock exchange like individual stocks.
So you get instant diversification.
Exactly. And diversification is key to managing risk. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Spread your investments out, different asset classes, different industries, even different parts of the world.
Makes sense. So any other tips for investing? Golden rules.
Be patient. Investing is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't panic when the market goes down. Just ride it out. Stay focused on the long term.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Definitely. And do your research. Before you invest in anything, really understand what you're buying into. Look at their financials, their track record.
Make informed decisions, not just follow the hype.
Exactly. And hey, if you're feeling lost, don't be afraid to get advice. Talk to a financial advisor.
Like having a coach in your corner. Well, there you have it. That's our deep dive into personal finance. Budgeting, avoiding mistakes, and investing.
It's all about taking control of your money, making it work for you so you can have more freedom and peace of mind.
So go out there, learn more, explore your options, and keep reaching for those financial goals. And thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time.
See ya.